Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining me again. Last day of the week, Friday. Hope you've got good plans for the weekend. What I wanted to bring you today was an article that I was sent by a subscriber, which I found quite revealing. Now, if you remember, I did a video yesterday. This was the thumbnail here, and it was entitled, "He Will Be Out." Now, granted, every time I do a video about Keir Starmer, anywhere implying that he's going to be out or he's finished or whatever else, I tend to get a great deal of stick in return. So be it. But in that video that I did yesterday, you can go and look at it, I covered a few different areas as to why I think sooner or later he will be finished. And the one I want to concentrate on today is those abhorrent comments that were made by Lucy Powell, and how the whole issue with the gangs was classed as a dog whistling exercise and used as political football, political mileage, whatever you want it to be. And it really was disgusting. And it begs the question, or implies the comment, why hasn't Starmer sacked her? She shouldn't be there. Well, I was sent this. The real reason Starmer can't sack Lucy Powell over the gangs, because he previously made a comment that was all too similar, if not worse. So it's a question of practice what you preach, maybe. Is that the point? Is that why she's still there? I mean, let's face it, they're all as bad as each other, aren't they? But I want to read you this article, just so you get the entire picture of what's going on. So you can see from the headline there, the real reason Starmer can't sack Lucy Powell over the grooming gangs. And here it goes. Sir Keir Starmer knows full well how angry the public is about the gang's scandal. So why didn't he sack Lucy Powell for the jaw-dropping comment she made on Radio 4? Yes, why indeed? It's because Downing Street accepted Powell's apology and her explanation that her comment did not reflect her views on the issue. Well, it's like they were playing political football with it, wasn't it? Surely, though, there's a far simpler reason the Prime Minister couldn't sack her, because he'd previously made a very similar comment himself. Let's compare the two. First, here's what Miss Powell, a senior Labour minister, said on Any Questions last Friday when her fellow panellist Tim Montgomery, a member of Nigel Farage's Reform UK, asked whether she'd seen a new documentary about the gangs. And she snorted, note the choice of the word snorted. "Oh, you want to blow that little trumpet now, do you? Let's get that dog whistle out, shall we? Yeah." It's very dismissive, very rude, really. Now, let's remind ourselves what Sir Keir Starmer said in January when asked by journalists about the highly inconvenient return of the gang scandal to the public eye. The Prime Minister claimed his political opponents were calling for inquiries because they wanted to jump on a bandwagon of the far right. And we'll come to that comment shortly. Like Miss Powell on Any Questions, Sir Keir was plainly suggesting that Conservative figures who dare to raise the subject of the grooming gangs must have some dishonourable and very likely racist motive. If anything, Sir Keir's comment was more insulting than Miss Powell's. Jump on a bandwagon of the far right is stronger language than a dog whistle. At any rate, given that Sir Keir did not immediately resign in disgrace, he could hardly have expected one of his ministers to do it. So at least for once, he's being consistent, really. All the same, I somehow doubt that many voters will give him much credit for it. Instead, I suspect quite a few voters will read her comments, recall this, and say to themselves, this is what they all think, isn't it? Maybe not all of them are stupid enough to say it out loud, but in private, I bet they all think it's a dog whistle, even to mention the mass R of white working class girls. And I bet they all think it's far right to want a full inquiry into how it happened and why it took so long to expose, which presumably means they think most of us are plebs or far right too. So to summarise, the fact that she's still in position, he said something himself, and here's the headline again. The real reason Starmer can't sack her over the gangs is because he made an all too similar comment as well, if not worse. Now, let's look at this history of far-rightism with Keir Starmer, shall we? It's obsessive, really is. You look at what happened in Southport, for example, immediately blamed on far-right. And we know through the release of a very recent police report that far-right links were not found. In fact, far right is an imaginary construct of the left, as we all know. And that was a vain insult to families and fathers and grandfathers and everyone else that were coming out in sheer dismay and disgust as to what befell their children in their local community. Yes, all right, people did come out and hijack these and start chucking bricks and setting fire to things and everything else. But at its very heart, it was a community issue. Now the gangs, this has been going on for years, and I mean years. Nobody has lifted a finger to find out what's gone on with whom, why, how it can be stopped, and how those responsible can be held accountable. Any parent that's tried has got into all sorts of trouble. Nobody in power has wanted to admit or deal with this issue. The police don't want to admit or deal with this issue, and it goes on. You have Rupert Lowe, who has raised a great deal of money, and the public awareness of this issue is starting to come back. You have other people as well that are talking about it. Again, the issue is starting to come back. This isn't far right. This isn't left. It's our kids. Yet he has the sheer audacity to label that far right. So, yes, that is comparable, if not worse, than calling it a dog whistle, I suppose. And is it what they all think? Is this a pandemic of don't give a shitness within our political corridors? Is that what's going on here? You tell me. But it stinks. I still maintain Lucy Powell should be fired. And I think Keir Starmer's position really needs looking at as well, because when you add to it all of the other things that we have a problem with him and this Labour government in particular, doesn't make for a great show, does it? I'll leave that with you. Thanks very much for watching. Please, as always, hit the like button because that helps the YouTube algorithm spread my stuff about. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Doing quite well again in the numbers. Have a look at the videos that have just popped on the screen. As always, I look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.